Welcome to highlights action from the first semi-final of the World Cup of Pool in Leicester between the Netherlands and the Philippines. Will the Dutch make it to their third final, or will the Philippines reach their fifth? The Netherlands got off to the perfect possible start with a break and run out in the first rack to gain an early advantage against the Philippines. We join the action in the second with the Philippines to break. Commentary from Phil Yates and Jeremy Jones.
Yeah, and a really nice starter on the one that offers natural position for the two. They just got to carry the cue ball to the left side of the 8. The good thing is the position on the 2, you might have a little angle, but the 3's real handy, and we can see an early winner possibly with the 4-9.
Absolutely right, Jeremy. The Dutch here will be salivating. This could be a rapido conclusion to rack 2.
And Niels, knowing the 3 is very handy, so he put a little bit more punch on that ball. I may have applied it with just left spin to get a little closer to the 2, but really relying on his partner, who's been super solid all week. Wow, and he got snookered kind of from nowhere. I think he actually hit it a little cleaner than he thought he would. I think he thought he would slide in between the 6 and 5. He would have seen a lot more cue power if he was trying to draw above the 3 ball. Has he got a curve shot here? Just a subtle bit of right spin.
Not subtle enough.
Yeah, and just attacked with a little bit too much speed there. Didn't allow the cue ball to curve, really, and allow the right spin to throw the 3 ball in. And, man, a big reprieve for Team Philippines after opening dry break. Now he's got to maneuver the cue ball. Can he shove it in? And I don't think so. He's got to maneuver around. Oh, he's drawn it. Well, okay, pretty fortunate rub on the 5. Things could have turned out much different.
Money in the bank. 4-9 combination. It's 1-1, but the Philippines. Well, it's a crunching break, it really is. The 1 ball went into the top corner. The 2's open, so to the 3. Again, the Dutch have first opportunity.
Yeah, they have a nice starter on the 2. It's a little thin, so a little bit of a choice here. Usually you can put a lot of maximum left side spin and catch the 2 a little heavier and float down for the 3 to kind of hold the cue ball. Some concern here, especially being elevated. So you may see him attack and try and draw into the 3. It's not a bad play if you're really concerned about that scratch in the upper corner. So this is going to be a delicate little flick in the side. Okay, and he played it the other way. He decided to use the entire side pocket on the 2, overcutting the 2 to guarantee the cue ball getting to the side rail safely. And a pretty nice shot here by Bijsterbosch. That's a very nervy shot in a high pressure situation.
That, though, no one could foresee. Okay, it wasn't the easiest pot you've ever seen in your life, but for Feijen, that should be meat and potatoes.
Yeah, quite honestly, that's a 90 plus over 100. The players of this caliber, the world class, make that one. A little bit of a stretch and a little concern with the cue ball. May have had a little something to do with that miss, but still one that Niels would like to have back. Delicate situation here, though. I think he can see the entire three. Is he trying to chip this ball and run the cue ball? Oh, wow. Really nice hit. It may not come with any reward, but from that, wow, great shot.
Carlo Biado, the steadier and the more successful of the two Filipinos. He's got a wise head on those shoulders.
And many consider Carlo, you know, in tournament play, it's difficult. It's shorter races sometimes, and some luck and fortune plays into our game, but many consider Carlo, if they played extended races, probably one of the top 3 or 4 in the world. Watch out for the cue ball off the table.
Well, the cue ball stays on the table. Unfortunately for the Dutch, so does the 3-ball.
And you're going to see Jeffrey let his stroke out a little bit here. He's going to go up and down the table, a bit thin to try and cut it in, and I think hold for the 4. We've seen him make some really nice soft ones, though, but I really think he's going to go up and down 2 rails, try and kind of get where the 3's at now with the cue ball. Oh, he played it soft. That was very surprising to me. I thought he would try to stay clear of the 5 and go up and down the table with a little more speed and a little more side spin. So a positional error here in game 3.
Yes, the 8-ball completely blocking Biado's path to the 4, hence the jump. A really scrappy, ragged rack. They all count the same though, Jeremy.
Yeah, they sure do. Somewhat like golf, we have a lot of games that look like birdies and eagles, and then we have a few bogeys and doubles that come in every now and again. Big shot for Niels here, though, after that miss on the 3. Yeah. Oh, wow. A fluke. Is it going to get any reward?
The wages of sin. That was a terrible miss. Didn't deserve this. Now that really stings the Filipinos. Not just the fact the ball went in, but the fact there's position there as well.
And it appears he's playing this in the side. And again, he can go 1 rail or 2. I like the 2 like that. Somewhat of the same kind of shot I really felt Jeffrey should have played earlier. And for Team Holland and Niels Feijen, a few easy ones. He's got, oh man, barely squeaked that one in. So Niels has got to regroup. It's early in this match, so sometimes this can lead on to worse things, but most likely for Niels and Team Holland, he'll settle in.
And he's certainly got lady luck in his corner. That was a massive fluke. Early doors, and we've already seen a double Dutch success, winning the first rack cleanly, the third rack fortuitously. Holland 2, the Philippines 1.
Welcome back to the first semi-final in the World Cup of Pool, where the Netherlands hold a 2-1 lead over the Philippines in this race to 9. Commentary comes from Jeremy Jones and first, Phil Yates.
It's still very early on. Plenty of time for the Filipinos to psychologically and numerically recover. But those kind of flukes leave a bitter taste.
And Phil, it's kind of how you look at it. Sometimes you feel like it's not your day, but it's early, and Philippines have trailed. I think they would. 3-ball going to get in? Yes, for a nice starter on the 1. A little tight position on the 2, down table with the 9 and 6, but sometimes whenever, you know, if your opponent's just running out playing perfect, that's much more bothersome in my opinion than a fluke, especially early in the match. Well, that's perfect timing, I believe, on that stroke, and really got him as ideal as he could get him. And, you know, if you look at a team maybe like Austria, who's played so incredibly sound, when they fluke a ball in on you now, that could bother you, because you figure them to play really like top-level pool like they've been playing, and then also you can't afford a little luck playing them, you wouldn't think. A big shot here on a 4-ball. Position should be okay. It's just a little natural cueing with low right English. Plenty of angle. Squeezed it in. Good tempo on the stroke, though, which opens the pocket a bit.
We can't overstate just what a footprint pool has in the Philippines. It's a massive sport there. And these two, if they were to go back as World Cup champions, would be national heroes.
Oh, absolutely, with Efren Reyes and Bustamante winning the first 2 titles for the Philippines. Anytime you follow them up with a similar championship, and now the same championship, well, yeah, these guys will be praised back home. Well, that's nice control coming short of the side pocket in between the 7 and the side. So a very comfortable Carlo Biado, it seems like, to open our semifinal.
I always think with these two, it's like a comedic duo. You've got the straight man and the guy who's creating the laughs. Biado, all business, efficient, dependable. De Luna, charismatic, entertaining.
Oh, a nice little drag stroke there on the 8. And a chip in 9 to tie our match at 2 games apiece.
Yeah, break and run out. And just like that, we are on level terms. Bijsterbosch with the responsibility of breaking off in rack 5. Well, again, the 1 in that corner does the Dutch a favour. Not just the 1, the 6 and the 7 have disappeared as well. Shape on the 2, happy days.
Yeah, in the first 5 games here, we're getting some nice starting opening shots for these teams, so that should get the arm loose. Now, I don't think he'll mess around with trying to get close to this 3. Yeah, that's a nice shot, and a big shot again after a couple of poor strokes by Niels in a few earlier games.
Always well prepared and dedicated Marc Bijsterbosch. He's got a table at home on which he puts many practice hours.
Well, I'd mentioned that Petri Makkonen and Alex Kazakis are two of the most improved players in the world the last few years, in my opinion. But you can see guys like Marc along the same route in many Euros. Actually, after going to the Euro Tour last year, actually in Holland also, in Eindhoven, eyes were really opened up to the Euro scene.
He feels it to be a real honour to represent his country, especially alongside Niels Feijen, a player he's really looked up to over the years. Having said that, though, I don't think he feels out of place in Feijen's company. He's just desperate to be a really good supporting act, and I think he's doing a little more than that at the moment. Good number twos in this tournament. They are gold dust.
Well, again, Niels not with the best timing on the draw stroke there, and he's left his partner a tester.
Well, if that doesn't settle any early nerves, nothing will. It was, as Jeremy rightly said, a poor positional shot from Feijen, but the 9-ball went straight into the heart of the pocket from Bijsterbosch.
The Filipino players are known for doing things that just other players don't, especially in the bigger moments. We all fool around with shots practicing, and maybe when you're ahead in a what might be an easy match, but even in the biggest stages, they pull off some incredible shots. Now, it appears the 3 passes the 6. It's tight, but one of our more testy shots to open the racks. He can run the cue ball for the 3 in the side. There's nothing wrong with that if he wants to put a little more steam on this. Oh, that was just like perfect cueing there. So they're going to have to set up somewhere around the center of the table for a little bit of a thin cut shot on the 4. But shouldn't be a problem with the 5 over the side. It's all about just maintaining. Well, that's got to slow down a bit. It's actually got right to the perfect spot. Something you may not threaten that much. You don't want to take a chance of getting snookered, so you usually end up a little more short on that cut shot, but perfect position.
I think these two really complement each other. Totally different styles, attitudes, approaches, cue actions, you name it. And yet together, they mesh.
Well, like countrymen from all around the world, the Philippines hang out a lot together at the tournaments. They compete a lot together back home. So there's definitely a friendship there, but also just the respect. I think the respect of both each player. They understand things don't always work out perfectly, but 100% of effort is definitely in play at all times with the Filipino players. Now, it looked like he was queuing up to really put some speed on this with a lot of draw.
Extension, please.
Like a low right English. I believe he's going to really put some power into this one. Oh, no, he decided to change. He went with the top English.
Mr. 7-ball like this in an earlier round. Playing with check side. Excellent. Excellent shot.
And that's that tempo there, Phil. If you get a little jumpy on that one, a bit of a flatter cue ball and it doesn't roll out. So just perfect timing there by Carlo Biado. And Jeffrey DeLuna, another Nice shot on the 8 for a throw-in.
We fully expected a toe-to-toe battle, and that's precisely what's transpiring. The Philippines 3, Holland 3. Oof. A close run thing in so many different ways.
Yeah, we may see the Philippines go after the 9 right here on a little clip shot on the 1. I'll tell you what, they may end up making the 6 as well on accident. This 1 may bank off the rail and chip the 6 in the corner. So it's a little bit of a question mark here. It's a judgment call, you might say. This could turn out poorly for him, but be hard for me to pass up cue ball on the 9.
Here we go. No contact. No 1 in, no 6 in.
Well, in a fair way, I think they would have rather not made the 6, just because the 1 was in the cue ball. We're going to be separated. But a pretty fair effort there by Carlo. Hard shot to judge from so much distance on this slick table. So you're going to see...
Attention, please.
You're going to see Bijsterbosch kick at this 1 ball. I think he's going to have to use a little side spin to get at it. And this is one you'll lose a little accuracy hitting it harder, but you can't afford to slow roll it. Uh-oh, watch out for the 4. Okay, now we're going to see another attacking shot on the 9, I'm sure. It's a problem, though. You probably have a better chance of making it shooting a 3-ball combo. There's an element of safety trying to play a carom shot. Okay, he decided just to play safe, and I think that's a real smart play. Because if he goes at the carom and he banks the 1 down table and doesn't make the 9, well, they're going to leave a return 1-9 bank combination, Phil.
To me, that shot made sense. It was playing the percentages.
So again, we'll see Holland kick with some speed here. He'll want to ricochet off the bottom of the 1, sending the cue ball at the 4. Oh, and he missed it all.
Foul.
So we're
No
going to get
contact.
most certainly see our first lead by Team Philippines.
Start the clock, please.
One, 4, 9. That was never going to be missed in a month of Sundays.
Welcome back to the first semi-final of the 2019 World Cup of Pool, where the Philippines have taken the lead for the first time, 4-3, in this race to reach 9 racks. The Philippines were unable to extend their lead after a dry break, and the Dutch managed to capitalise to get back on level terms at 4-4. But the Netherlands were not level for long. A foul break by Bijsterbosch led to the Filipino team clearing the table to go back ahead 5-4. The woes on the break continued, with the Philippines starting with a dry break again, and the Dutch team made short work of wrapping up the 10th rack to level again at 5 apiece. The Netherlands then reclaimed the lead for the first time since 3-2 with a break and run out in the 11th to put them within 3 of victory and a place in the final. We return to the action in rack 12 with De Luna to break for the Philippines as we rejoin Jeremy Jones.
Well, strategic change there on the break. We talked about them hitting him a little lighter. He went with a head-on break and as hard as he could hit him, pretty much, which is pretty hard for Jeffrey DeLuna. And nothing, Phil.
He put his whole being into that. He reminded me on that shot of the old Mexican player, Ismael Paez, the runner-up in the World Championship many years ago, the Mexican jumping bean.
That's right. A great player from Mexico, long time, lives in L.A. Now the one ball, he'll play the 2 up long, just go back and forth with the cue ball. Don't do too much. Now that needs to go. And you could see it was a little bit of a thick strike to the hole, which just a little bit off with the 1 ball to the hole really slows the cue ball down. And now I believe he's got to play safe, which is you got to stomach it sometimes in a position you should be going offensive, but Niels a very efficient player. And that's okay, kind of taking the simple safety, which I'm a big fan of in these short, high-pressure situations. The Philippines, after what should have been a clear table, going to be very inspired on this jump shot, that being Carlo Biado.
Extension, please.
Well, there is some form of gap between the 2 balls that could be masking the 2. The 4 and the 5 there. But is it of any use to the Dutch?
Well, I think so. If he can get any piece of this at all, he doesn't have to be able to make it, but there's a lot of balls to play safe behind. He could overcut the 2 and kind of bank it back up towards the 3, running the cue ball back behind the 7-8. Yeah, I believe he's got some type of piece. We'll try and figure out the way he cues the ball. And this could be that shot I was talking about. Kind of bank the 2 off the top rail, back up towards the 3, and run the cue ball behind the 7-8. Oh, he went for the pot. Very convinced he could make it. If he didn't have enough room, he wouldn't have shot at it.
Well, he missed the 4 by not wafer thin margin, so I think he definitely could have potted it. We can't be critical of Bijsterbosch, though. Not at all.
The Philippines talked a little bit, but then with no extension, went offensive on a nice cross-side bank by Jeffrey DeLuna. Big shot here by Carlo. He's got to elevate. He's got to pinch the cue ball back a little bit.
Well, I'll tell you what, if this is a template for the rest of the day, we're in for a treat. He's jumping around a little, isn't he, DeLuna? The pressure is definitely in the arm. Definitely between the ears as well. Becoming more and more animated.
Well, that cue ball is going to be on the wrong side of the 7. Shouldn't be a problem, but it's kind of got right in between to where the drawn to the side rail kind of involves the side pocket. So I look for him to go forward with the cue ball here. Oh, he is going to draw it. So maybe he can just pinch it back and hold for a little cut shot on the 8. Well, he went ahead and went to the side. So nice control. You would rather shoot it like that if you feel confident that you're not going to involve that side pocket. Much better way when you're close to the ball than having to follow it to the end rail and back up. So again, just a chip in on the 9 to get another tie score in our first semifinal.
It does not get closer than this, not just in terms of the scoreboard, but also in the way all 4 players are playing.
You join us in the closing stages of this first semi-final with the Netherlands and the Philippines locked at 6 apiece in this race to 9. Commentary comes from Phil Yates and Jeremy Jones.
It looks like he can just follow forward perfectly for the 2. Yes, what a sweet starter at a 6-6 situation. Now, how did this fall? If this fell straight in, they're going to have to make a little bit more of a shot on the 3 than they had originally thought. Maybe just stop right there, play the 3 in the side where Niels can roll forward for the 4. I wouldn't try to do extra here if I'm Marc. Just got to rely on your partner. Yeah. It's not the worst of things, but with the 8 ball there, you don't want to be having to move the cue ball up table into that 9 and 7 traffic and then back down for the 4. So maybe Niels should have grabbed hold of the reins there and just told Marc, just stop your ball, and I have the 3 in the side. I can roll forward easily for the 4. So now a difficult situation.
Extension, please.
A situation made for an extension. 30-second shot clock, but each team allowed 1 30-second extension per rack, and this is definitely the time to take it.
And that's how out of position he was on the 3. Not that he couldn't make it, but really guaranteeing some position on the 4 was key. He didn't want to shoot it and run the cue ball into like maybe the 9 or 7 and have his partner covered up on the 4. Ooh, I don't like that route with the 4 ball being there. He's got to draw that. I believe he's got to draw this a little bit. Man, that's a tight little angle going by that 4 ball, especially on this slick table. So if he cues this with a high ball, real hard to get underneath this ball 2 rails. He'll probably end up hitting like off the second rail about half the ball, cue ball coming up into the 4 and the 8. He hit it great. He hit it great.
For me, the shot of the match so far, turning a negative into a positive.
And that's the problem with Holland getting out of line on what looked like a simple situation and offering the Filipinos back to the table. Well, that's a bit of touche there, but and a little bit of bad luck after a great kick in the side. No position on the pink 4.
As De Luna walked past, he looked to see whether this was going to be of any benefit to them. Remained impassive, but I think he'll be relieved.
Yeah, he's definitely got a shot, but it's thin, and the 5's pinned on the side rail. So is he going to go 3 rails near the 7, or is he going to try and kill the cue ball? It looks like he's going 3 rails. Watch out for the 7 now. Okay. And that was a little bit more forced, and man, what a horrible flick, meaning getting him really straight in on the 5. So we're going to need some cue power here to get position on the 7. And watch this cue ball take off after this strike. It should really have a lot of zip coming back by the 8 and then back down table for the 7. And that's the epitome of timing there. Looked like he hardly hit the cue ball at all and just maximum revolutions on the bottom half of the ball.
That one squirmed its way in. His heart must have been in his mouth, DeLuna. No mistake, though, on the 8 ball from Mr. Dependable, Carlo Biado, the star of this match for me thus far, together with Marc Bijsterbosch. The lead, the advantage, the momentum continues to swap hands. Right now, the Filipinos in the ascendancy. They lead 7-6.
Yeah, and a big break off here. We'll see if he changes. He hit him kind of light before and had 2 dry breaks. So we'll see if a little different plan here. No, hit him pretty light again. He's made the one in the opposite corner. Not going to get a shot on the 2, though. And a difficult rollout situation like it always is at this caliber. Oh, I think he's got to roll out somewhere. Let me think here. Yeah, I like him kind of rolling out in this area where he's pointing the cue. Doesn't really offer a bank, but probably something like banking the 2 over by the 3 and running the cue ball back up table for some type of distance as far as a safety. We'll see what the Filipinos have in mind.
Netherlands, your option?
Well, he's not happy with that. He would have much rather rolled out with a little more distance. And the Dutch discussing it. It's hard to really tell. They'd like to bank it back across in between the 3-7. And we'll definitely know what the Filipinos had in mind here shortly.
Often when they push out, they've got some dastardly plan that no one's worked out, and they execute it to perfection. Not on this occasion.
No, and that's gonna leave the Dutch a pretty prime opportunity, probably to chip the 2 ball towards the 8, bring the cue ball back around over where the cue was just pointed. Maybe send the 2 to the back rail, but the problem with that is if you do that and you don't get the snooker, you may leave some type of play on the 9. So very careful shot here. Oh, that's overhit by a mile. So distance wasn't his plan there. He was trying to get the solid snooker on the 7, and the problem with that is when you overhit, you leave an easy one.
Funnily enough, I was talking to Marc this morning on the way in, and he was saying they have had some big bounces off the short rail. I don't know whether that was the reason, but it was a gross misjudgment, and it could be a very expensive one.
Yeah, and that had a lot to do with trying to get the cue ball nestled up on that 7. And after looking at the shot, I agree with his play. I think he should have been able to execute that, and I think it was a fine decision, but just a little bit of a mishit.
But Mr. Biado comes up trumps again, not just potting the 2, but trapping the cue ball in this segment of the table for the 3.
And for Team Philippines, it just seems like coming towards the end of the match, crunch time, they're getting the opportunity and they're taking full advantage. Still a bit more left in this rack, that's for sure, but this is to get on the hill. He's got to use a little bit of right side spin here to hit the 5 a little heavier, holding the ball for the 6. And who else would you rather have shooting this big shot on the 6 to get on the 7, which we're really in this rack and get the Filipinos in need of one game to get to our Bet Victor World Cup final. Yeah, he could move the cue ball a bit more around the table for a little better angle here on the 8, but they can handle even straight in and having to play short side on the 9. That's okay as well. Now he's going to have a little stretch. I'm not sure he can reach this one. Still, though, Carlo very efficient with the bridge. I don't see this being a problem. Just a bit of a punch shot coming across for the 9.
It's the first 2-rack lead in the match. And boy, it's going to be timely.
Difficult out here from the 1 to the 2 is super tough. It doesn't even really have to play it with the 7-8 tied up right there. He could play the safety here and draw into the 7 or 8 and knock the cue ball around. Knock the 1 ball around. I would really consider that. Only reason being is there's not a lot of angle on this 1 ball, and to go at it with top inside English trying to come 3 rails around for the 2, I would consider the safety myself. Yeah, I like that option. You may get a 1-9 combination to win the match. Yeah, difficult.
One thing close observers of Jeffrey De Luna will tell you, when he gets to a World Cup and he's in a partnership and the pressure's on, he becomes a different player. A lot more circumspect, a lot more sensible.
Well, I kind of believe,
Attention, please.
along with a nice finish at the U.S. Open, that Jeffrey's maturing as a player. So it sometimes takes, when you have so much talent, it sometimes takes a little bit longer to refine the game. And refine Jeffrey's, you can see, man, just can't wait to get out of his chair. So you can see that the problem in hand. Huge hit here for Holland to survive in this tournament.
And no hit at all is doomsday.
And deservedly, Carlo Biado, former world 9-ball champion, gets a chance to get his team into the final with what looks like a fairly routine 1-9 combination.
That was a thriller for the folks in Manila, and it was a thriller here. The Filipinos coming good. They march into the final.
So the Philippines make it to the World Cup of Pool final for the first time since 2013. Join us next time to find out if Austria or Spain can make it through to join them.